Guys, I can't wait to run through this gun with you because this is something I've been looking forward to for quite a while. This is a very first look at the FX DRS Pro. We're at the MDT booth, and that's because this gun is in a beautiful MDT ACC Elite Chassis that MDT made specifically for this gun. And we'll get to the specifics of the Pro in a moment, but first, let's discuss the DRS, because I've seen a bit of confusion about the DRS online. Essentially, DRS stands for Dynamic Rifle System, and the whole idea of this gun is that it's built with a look and form factor that's very, very similar to a barreled action of a normal firearm. So you'll see the air cylinder in front, which runs over the barrel, is meant to look like a normal firearm barrel. You've got an action at the back, and then this part at the bottom, which looks like a magazine, is actually the plenum. The whole idea of that is that the rifle takes the form of a normal bolt action firearm. So if you look at the DRS Classic that was launched over the past few days, which has a very traditional stock, synthetic, and that beautiful wooden stock, that's the same gun as this. But this plenum is just a little bit smaller, and that's because it's a more standard power gun. And that basically allows, because there's no external air cylinder, because this is the cylinder and this is the plenum, they can fit it into a really traditional looking stock, which makes it very light, makes the form factor amazing. And I'm really excited to see how that DRS Classic takes off. But let's talk about the Pro, because this is the one I'm very, very excited about. Main differences between this and the Classic is going to be power output. So you can see this bigger plenum at the bottom here, this bigger magazine thing. This is the plenum. It holds quite a large volume of air. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't actually get in the way of anything. It takes the same form as a magazine in a normal precision rifle, with a barricade stop right over here. So it not only looks like a beautiful bolt action rifle, but it takes that same form factor. And then the power output as well. The plenum obviously helps with that, but you've got a high power kit in here, which allows you to push heavy slugs at higher speeds, which is obviously what you need for shooting long range, shooting precision rifle, stuff like that. And then the chassis. Guys, this is the best air rifle for precision rifle that I think the industry has ever seen. We were joking the other day and saying it's almost as if MDT knows how to make chassis. They're one of the best chassis manufacturers in the world. The ACC Elite was developed in partnership with some of the best PRS shooters in the world. And so you've got a really, really rigid design with some amazing features. And what MDT have done is they've worked closely with FX to get all the dimensions perfect. So nothing had to be compromised on. This magazine wall here, they could actually bring the barricade stop back a little bit, which means that it shifted the balance point a bit further back, and means that you don't have to add a ton of weights in the front if you don't want to. Then everything else in here with a thumb shelf at the top, this Arca forend all the way here, which you can stack with internal weights. It's got this grippy grip tape at the bottom, which sits on a bag perfectly. And then obviously M-lock all the way along the sides for fitting external weights if you want them. We found that with these 4 external weights, you're very, very well sorted. Fill port is this little hole over here. So essentially you're going to have a fill probe that attaches to a quick disconnect, faster fitting, and you can just slide it in and top up your air between each stage. And then you've got 30 MOA, I believe it is, rail over here that fits on top of the dovetail rail. So the DRS Classic in sub 12 foot-pound, or like let's say 30 foot-pound 22, the more like standard power for shooting pellets, is going to have a dovetail rail that you can fit this Picatinny on. But on the DRS Pro, you're going to have that 30 MOA Picatinny rail, which is going to be perfect for getting you out to that sort of 300 to 400 yards that you would be shooting like an NRL 22X match at, for example. Then over here we've got obviously the magazine slot that can take a magazine that's kind of similar to the Pantera magazine, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. So this particular magazine 22 is going to hold 14 shots. I like that smaller size because it's enough to get you through a stage, but it's a little bit smaller, which means you can actually mount your scope a bit lower and this rail doesn't get in the way of, or the magazine doesn't get in the way of the rail. So that's awesome. And then the trigger. This is an improved trigger, a match grade trigger that's got a very, very light sort of crisp brake. When you're hunting, you obviously maybe want a slightly firmer brake to keep things safe when you're hunting, but when you're shooting competitions, you want that very light brake that you just touch and it goes off. So that's amazing. Now, normally first look videos are just that, it's a first look, but the reality is I've actually had a pre-production prototype in South Africa for the past couple of months, and I've been able to take it out, I've been able to shoot it, I've been able to get actual data of how it performs, give that data back to the guys in Sweden who've then refined valving and plenum size and hammer tension and all that stuff, and then improved it so that the production version has actually been used quite a lot by the time that you see it. Being able to test this has also allowed us to, for example, find where the balance point is, figure out how much weight needs to be on the front, and give feedback to MDT, who obviously don't have much experience working on the air rifle side. None of the chassis manufacturers do. And then MDT have been able to take that information and just refine the barricade stop even further back so that you don't need as much weight on the front and all that stuff. So yeah, what we're seeing is really exciting. For me, the most exciting thing with this is that it really doesn't require any aftermarket purchases aside from perhaps a couple weights in the front. I've also got some internal weights in the chassis. That's the nice thing about MDTs. They've got those options, but everything else, you buy it, you pop some slugs in the magazine, and it sits so nicely and balances so nicely. Just an awesome out-of-the-box competition rifle. And you can get behind a barricade, get really solid, and it just sits there so perfectly. So, yep, that's the FX DRS Pro. Very, very excited to actually start shooting competitions with this, and hope to get one in my hands very soon and show you guys more of what this thing can do.